Hey guys, Chris here. In this video, I'm talking about the brand new Tesla Model S, the brand new Audi E Tron GT, and then the Porsche Taycan. And I am going to compare these three cars a bit. But before you guys go downvoting this video, commenting that I'm an idiot because you can't compare these three cars, well, I actually do agree. I don't think you can compare the three cars because I think they appeal to completely different people for different reasons. But there have been made a lot of videos now and people have been talking about this on the internet, comparing these three cars, and especially the new e-tron GT and the new Model S. So I just want to give my opinion and, shade my perspective on the matter. That is all, because I do agree that you can compare the three cars. Or let me elaborate. The Taycan and the Audi are basically the same car, the same platform, the same drivetrain, the same battery pack, very, very similar performance, and they aren't priced too far from each other. The Audi has an Audi skin and an Audi interior, and the Porsche vice versa. So I think the Porsche and the Taycan will be cross-shopped between people, and for other people who are considering a Porsche, an Audi isn't an option. But I think those two cars are more closely matched than they are to the Model S. Because the Model S, appeals to completely different people for different reasons. But of course, there will also be people cross-shopping the Model S alongside those two other cars. I'm not saying that, but in my opinion, I think they are very different. But I watched this video by a guy called Sean W, who has a cool channel, has a few cool videos on EVs. So I'm going to link his channel in the description box down below. Check out his videos. But I don't agree with him on everything, and especially the video he made on where he said that he doesn't understand why anybody would choose any other EV, especially the new e-tron GT or the Porsche Taycan, over the brand new Model S Plaid or Plaid Plus. You just didn't understand why anybody would choose those two cars, because the Model S has superior range and also a superior performance according to the numbers allegedly, and also it is much cheaper, and all of those things are true. Those things are true. But he didn't understand why anybody would choose those two other cars for different reasons. He said that's not valid. He doesn't believe that anybody would choose the Porsche or the Audi for superior build quality compared to the Model S. But he also said that if you want build quality, buy a Toyota, which doesn't make sense because I think he's talking about reliability. Toyota aren't known for good build quality and good, interiors. Go to Lexus for that. So I think he was, conflating the two terms. But that really doesn't matter. He just says that the only reason somebody would choose the Porsche or the Audi over the Model S is because you couldn't get your hands on the Model S because it's going to be so exclusive. And, well, I don't know if it's going to be that exclusive, but I totally don't buy the reasons for not choosing those other two cars because you can't get your hands on the Model S. So let's do the Model S fair, because I am a huge fan of the Model S. I do like the new Plaid Plus, and I've been considering Teslas several times, but I haven't actually gone out and bought a Tesla yet. I think that says a lot. I own an Audi e-tron, and I've also had multiple Volvo XC90s and Audi A4s, but I have never owned a Tesla. And actually, when I bought my XC90 back in 2015, when I ordered it, I was cross-shopping it with a Model S. But I just preferred the Volvo's ride comfort, the interior, and also the charging network at that point wasn't as good as it is now. But the performance of that Model S compared to the Volvo with the diesel was, it was in a totally different league. But that wasn't enough to persuade me. And that is my point, is that not everybody values performance highly enough for it to overweigh other factors. Having a car that accelerates quickly is fun and fine, but it does wear off. You do get used to the performance, and when you do get used to the performance, at least I appreciate comfort more, interior materials, interior design, quietness of the cabin. And as good as the Model S is, it's never been known for great comfort or great NVH levels. Tesla just aren't known for those things. Take the Model 3 I had, a while back. I had it for 2 weeks. I drove it like 4,000 kilometers. And it is a brilliant car. It charges fast. It's the most efficient EV on the market. It has enormous performance. I love the infotainment system. I like the interior. It's practical. But for me, the NVH levels just doesn't cut it. And also the ride. I couldn't live with that car on a daily basis. That is me. I totally understand that people are different and people, value things differently. I have many friends who own Model 3s and are happy with them. But for me, there are other things that matter more, that outweigh performance. And if you saw that video and you saw my Polestar 2 video, and I'm not going to reveal too much here, but I would choose the Polestar 2 every day of the week because of the way it drives. Even though it's more expensive, even though if it has less performance or less range or it's less practical, I would choose that car because it rides better, it's so much more quiet, and yeah, it's just a better car to drive. And that can be applied to the Taycan or the E Tron GT. And I haven't driven a Taycan yet, and I haven't driven an E Tron GT because it isn't out. I have driven Model S's on multiple occasions, but I have owned about 4 Audis. And if the E Tron GT is my E Tron is any measurement of how good an Audi is, well, that is saying a lot. But there have been a ton of reviews on the Taycan, and the Taycan is possibly the best driving EV on the market, if not one of the best driving saloons out there. So the Porsche is a brilliant vehicle, as should the e-tron GT be. And where the e-tron GT and the Porsche are better than the Model S is in driving dynamics, in ride comfort, in NVH and quietness of cabin, and also the interior materials. And I also prefer the way those two cars looks to the Model S. Yes, the Model S is more practical, it's a bigger trunk, it's a hatchback, and a bigger cabin. But to me, that isn't as important, considering that type of vehicle, to outweigh the other factors. For me, ride comfort, NVH levels, a nice interior, a good looking exterior are really, really important. And then you have the whole thing of range. So let's take if you have the new Plaid Plus, that's going to be insane. We still have to get some numbers from, WLTP or EPA, but I think it's going to come close, and that will be completely insane and will be a game changer. But not everybody, needs 800 kilometers of range. A lot of people will be fine with 500 or 600 because that is still a lot of range. My God, guys. That is still plenty for a lot of people. And it should be said that the Tesla Model S, the Plaid, has a 663 kilometer estimated range, and the e-tron GT has 480 kilometers of estimated range. That is almost 200 kilometers in difference, but in reality, the difference is much less. Let me explain. So Tesla are one of the brands that are consistently not coming close to their rated numbers. They're still the most efficient EVs, regarding its class, and will also go the furthest. But the difference between real range and the estimated range by WLTP or EPA is one of the biggest of any EVs out there. But then you have the Taycan, which, supersedes its range time after time after time. And Tesla Björn did an interesting test with a 4S on 19-inch wheels, where he got 580 kilometers out of a Taycan. A Model S, with those on that route would have gotten a little bit more, maybe like 600 something plus. But the difference isn't huge. The difference is very, very small, and much smaller than the numbers would suggest. Because on paper, it is almost 200 kilometers, but in real life, it's maybe less than 30, right? And then you have the Taycan, which charges much faster than the Model S. So the new Model S will hopefully have 250 kilowatts of max charging speed, while the Taycan has 270. But the Taycan has a much flatter charging curve than the Model 3, which is the car we can, use for comparison previous years than 2021, because 2021 models don't charge that fast. But 2020 models and previous to that, Model 3s charge at an average speed of 150 kilowatts. Max 250, but that throttle's really low in the state of charge range. So the Taycan will also charge quicker. And we know from my test, Björn's test, my Norwegian high-speed run, is that quick charging can compensate for less battery capacity and also more consumption. So in reality, especially compared to the Plaid, there might not be that big of a difference with the Taycan or the E Tron GT in actually travel time. The Plaid Plus is a different story, we just don't know yet. So then you have the performance. So yes, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in the Plaid Plus in less than 2.1 seconds, and in the Plaid of 2.1 seconds, and the quickest Taycan is 2.8 seconds. But again, we have seen comparisons where the previous model, the performance with the Cheetah mode, is out accelerated by the Turbo S, even though the Turbo S on paper is slower. In reality, the Porsche is quicker. So it will be interesting to see just how big a difference is if Tesla now takes the throne away from Porsche, which it probably will. I'm not saying it won't. But the difference in reality might be less than suggested on paper. Tesla is a very good company on paper. They make great cars, but on paper they seem better than they are often in reality. Porsche are often the opposite. But of course, if you go spec for spec, price for price, the Model S is a cheaper vehicle, no doubt in my mind. But in my opinion, you're not buying this car, that car, because it is cheaper. You're buying the Porsche for its qualities. You're buying the Audi E Tron GT for what it does. Price is secondary, and of course people are shopping on price. I'm not saying that people aren't shopping on price, but if it was my money, I would probably go for a base Taycan versus a long range or a Plaid. That's just what I would do, because I appreciate the Porsche's interior. I would probably appreciate the way the Porsche drives, and I'm going to test it in a few weeks. So if I totally change my mind, I'm going to remake this video. And I also just love the way the Porsche looks. And of course, both Porsche and Audi can't come with brand cachet that Tesla just doesn't. Tesla has its own, brand cachet, but it doesn't have the history neither in racing or in making luxury vehicles than both Porsche and Audi. They have a long history in both racing and making brilliant vehicles. They've been doing this for the best part of half a century, and that doesn't matter for a lot of people. And a lot of people also, and I know a lot of people are going to be hurt by this, but Tesla for many people is a cult, and some people don't want to be associated with Tesla just because of that. And of course, people don't want to be associated with Porsche because of what it's associated with, also vice versa. But my point is that people look at things differently. People weigh things differently, and people have different perspectives. And in my opinion, just looking at 0 to 100 kilometers an hour times, just looking at bang for buck, and just looking at range alone isn't an argument for everybody. People value things differently. And as good as the Model S is, the brand new, and I haven't driven it yet, when I drive it, I may completely change my mind. If it drives as good as those two other cars, well, then that really does level the playing field. But from what we know with the Model S, and it has been on the market for almost 9 years now, so it is becoming an old car, it isn't as good at ride comfort, at NVH levels, as interior as those two other cars. And for a lot of people, that doesn't matter a lot. For me, man, I care more about how the car looks and feels on the inside than on the outside, because this is where you spend the time, on the interior. I like nice leather, soft touch plastics. I like nice materials. That's why in all the cars I have bought in the past, from my XC90, I've always chosen the upgraded Napa leather or Valcona leather, the extended leather packages. When I haven't gotten it, I regret, like in my Audi e-tron. I wish I just spent the extra 10,000 kroners getting the real Napa leather on the dashboard instead of the faux. I regret that because it's not as nice. I think about that every day. So these are real things that people do consider, and people weigh things differently. So I know this was a bit of a rant, guys. This has been going on for more than 15 minutes, so I'm going to end the video here. These three cars do things differently, and some cars do things better than other cars, and some people appreciate this more than that. And that's just reality, and nothing is wrong, and nothing, this thing is more right or more wrong than the other thing. It's just different. So guys, let me know which car you would choose down below, and what car. I would really like to know. So guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please drop me a thumbs up down below. And for more car content, as always guys, please subscribe. See you guys later, and goodbye.